You know, receiving a grant can be really exciting. And I think that it's because you've put out down this idea and you're hoping that someone else will think your idea is great. And then when you get funded, it shows that someone else thinks that your idea is great. And they, in essence, validate your ideas and what you want to do. So I think it's a great experience. I also think, obviously, that it's exciting and validating. You know, when you first receive a grant, there are a couple of steps that you have to take to make sure that everything gets off the ground in an appropriate way. One is to figure out where's the money going, what portal am I putting that money in that I have access to. The second thing is to make sure that I have the right team, that they are actually part of the same purpose and have the same mission that I had. Obviously, you should have done that prior to creating the grant, but sometimes it's great to do a double check. And then 3, what are the initial steps to get other participants involved? Because a lot of times the grants are for communities, and for me it's teachers, and so I want to get the teachers involved as well. So looking at your participants, looking at where the money goes, and looking at my team are 3 essential steps that I need to take a look at when I first start a grant. You know, some advice I would give anyone writing a grant is, 1, to make sure that the project is achievable. You don't want to have a project that's so big that you can't get it done in the time period that it needs to be done in, because all grants have time periods. Second thing is to not overshoot your budget. Make sure your budget is reasonable, because the funder is going to look at that and say, why do you need this money? And if you are not clear on that, then you could lose your chance of getting a grant. Third thing is to make sure you have an appropriate team, or the right team that shares your value system, that shares your purpose, shares your mission. And then the fourth thing I would probably say is to make sure that you do have the right community, the right agency, the right participants, to make sure that those 4 things come together so that you can have an achievable, realistic project. You know, so once you get a grant, you still are faced with some challenges. One of the challenges that I see is that, is the project realistic enough for me to actually put it or make it achievable within my own life? Because for a lot of us, we're adding responsibilities to our lives. We're not being able to replace our lifestyles with the grant. I add new work to my world. And so I want to make sure that I have the right team that's helping me out with this work. And then I want to make sure that I have the time to give to the participants who are part of this work as well, meaning the community members that I may be working with. Another thing is to make sure that I do stay within my budget and spend the money in the appropriate time period. The funders typically don't like it if we don't have the money spent by the time that it needs to be spent, and we can't spend it prior to actually getting all the paperwork signed. So those can be challenges for any grant.